are on a quest to find some new fun decks to play, and I think we have one here today. Hey, Nick from Nightcard TCG, and today we're going to be playing a deck that was created or piloted by Azul Garcia Griego, Azul GG. Really phenomenal, top tier player. Also has a YouTube stream, does a podcast that I listen to every week called The Uncommon Energy with trainer, or just now, Chip Richley. His name's not Trip, it's Chip. It's great content creator, and so we're going to be playing a deck that I saw he created. We're going to give it a go. It's a very interesting Lost Zone deck, and I personally love Lost Zone decks. I don't know why. I love the flow, even though they're a little frustrating at times, but I want to bring some different decks to the forefront of maybe your mind. You know, we looked at Arceus Duraludon, an old deck that's kind of making a little bit of a comeback. We looked at this Aerodactyl Lock type deck. Now we're going to be looking at a different Lost Zone deck, and just, you know, not everything has to be Lugia or Mew, right? Like, there's 1,000 ways to play Lugia, but we don't have to look at every single Lugia build, although we probably will at some point. But anyway, before we get into today's no, I did it again! I did it again! Before we get into today's video, if you haven't already, do me a favor, subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of stuff. Tells YouTube this is a good channel. Other people should watch it. Let's go to PTCGO because Pokemon Trading Card Game Live is down for maintenance. I'm probably going to migrate soon. I don't know what to do. Anyway, PTCGO, let's head there. Here we are, PTCGO, and now we mentioned that this is a Lost Zone box, or what is Lost Zone decks do? What is their goal? And the answer is very simple. We're going to use cards like Comfey to put cards from our deck into the Lost Zone. What is the Lost Zone? It's just an area on the playmat that can't be accessed. So once a card goes to the Lost Zone, it's basically removed from play for the entire game. Once a card goes to the Lost Zone, it can never be used. It can't be brought back from the Lost Zone. So there you go. So we're going to use cards like Comfey, which say has an ability flower selecting. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one into your hand, one into the Lost Zone. Really nice. So if we have more than one Comfey in play, we can kind of cycle between our Comfeys, put new Comfeys into the active, and then reuse the flower selecting ability multiple times to get a bunch of cards into the Lost Zone. We also have cards like Colress's Experiment. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put 3 into your hand, 2 into the Lost Zone. Why do we want to put cards into the Lost Zone? No other type of deck does this. Why do we want to? And the answer is because of cards like Cramorant. Lost Provisions is the ability if you have 4 or more cards in the Lost Zone, this attacks, the Pokemon attacks for free. You get to completely ignore the energy cost for the attack. So getting 4 cards in the Lost Zone is pretty easy. 2 Comfeys and a Colress gets you into attacking with Spit instantly on this Cramorant. We also have cards like Mirage Gate, which say you can only play this card if you have 7 or more cards in the Lost Zone. And then you can search your deck for 2 basic energies of different types and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you want. Which means we have 7 in the Lost Zone. We can go ahead and get, say, a Lightning and a Water Energy and attach them to our Radiant Greninja, for example, and then attach a Water Energy from hand. And oh look, now we got 3 energies on here, so we can use Moonlight Shuriken, discard 2 energies from this Pokemon, and you do 90 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. We also have a great ability, Concealed Cards. Discard an energy card from your hand to draw 2 cards. So really nice way to dig really deep through the deck between something like Concealed Cards, Colress, and a few flower selectings on Comfeys. Now, we have one more Lost Zone card, and that is Sableye. Sableye has the attack Lost Mind for a 1 Psychic Energy. If you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, you get to put 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you want. And now 12 damage counters is a ton. We have this Manaphy that says prevent damage to benched Pokemon, which is really good, right? So we get to prevent Pokemon from dealing damage to our benched Pokemon, but notice it says dealing damage. Something like Sableye says placing damage counters. dealing damage is not the same as placing damage counters. So even if your opponent has a Manaphy on the bench, you can still use Sableye's Lost Mine to put damage counters onto benched Pokemon if you wanted. So something to keep in mind. We do have a few other attackers here. We have this Snorlax, which is a very strong attacker for 3 energies, 3 colorless energies, I should say. Thumping Snore does 180 damage, and then your Pokemon is asleep. You get to, in order to wake up, you have to flip 2 coins, and both of them have to be heads. Honestly, it's really not that big of a deal because we have a lot of switching cards, and when you move from the active to the bench, you're cured of any status conditions, which is kind of nice. So it doesn't really matter if we're asleep. We're going to probably be able to move it out of the active if it doesn't get just knocked out by our opponent during their next turn. We also have Raikou V, our only V Pokemon in this deck. Fleet-footed, once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, draw a card, which is just a nice little extra thing for being in the active. Lightning Rondo for a Lightning and a Colress. It does 20 damage plus 20 more for each Pokemon on the bench, both yours and your opponent's. And now there can be a maximum of 10 Pokemon on the bench, so you're going to be doing 200 plus 20, which is 220, enough to knock out mostly any V, and Lugia and Palkia both have weaknesses to lightning, so that's kind of cool. They probably run Dunsparce to get rid of it, but whatever. And then we have this Kyogre. This Kyogre from Celebrations has an interesting attack. Aqua Storm for double water colorless. Discard the top 5 cards of your deck, then choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This attack does 50 damage for each energy you discarded in this way to each of those Pokemon. So, hypothetically, you discard 3 energies. Well, 50 times 3 is 150, so they get to pick 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon and deal 150 to 2 of them. Do you know who has 150 health? Archeops. So now you get to knock out 2 Archeops, and it's weird, it's kind of interesting. A lot of these Lugia decks are going to be running something like a Manaphy to prevent damage to the bench. So Kyogre here doesn't really help a ton if, Manaphy's in play, but sometimes they have to fill their bench kind of quickly. They get a second Lugia in play, they get 2 Archeops, maybe they have like a Dunsparce because they see the Raikou or the Lightning Energy, and then, I don't know, like in a Yveltal or Charizard or whatever, and maybe they just don't have the space for the Manaphy, and then you slap this Kyogre out of nowhere, knock out their Archeops, and it's like, oh man, now they're in a lot of trouble. So, not a bad thing. You can also use something like Sableye to, after you hit the bench with some damage, you can use Sableye to clean up attacks after they, maybe retreat to the bench, something like that. There's a lot of different things we can do. Regarding energies, we have 3 Capture Energies, which when we attach it to one of our Pokemon, we get to put a basic Pokemon from our deck into play, which is really cool. 2 Lightning, 4 Psychic, 6 Water. We have a few different attacking options, and because we might be lost zoning or discarding energies with things like Kyogre, or Flower Selecting, whatever, we want to have enough energies to make sure we're able to attack. Now, we might be discarding energies between things like Moonlight Shuriken, Kyogre, maybe we just discard them because we have to search, Pokemon get knocked out, whatever, energies end up in the discard. We do have something like this Energy Recycler, which lets us get 5 energies from our discard back into the deck. Why do we not want them in the hand? For 2 reasons. Well, one is the Kyogre. We can use the attack to discard the top cards of our deck, and we want to put energies in the deck, so it's more likely we hit them and do more damage with Aqua Storm. We also have Mirage Gate that we talked about before, which accelerates energies from the deck, so if they're in the hand, they don't really help for Mirage Gate. If we do need energies in the hand, we have something like Klara, which gets us 2 Pokemon or 2 energies from our discard. We could do either one or both, so we can get 2 Pokemon, 2 energies. It has to be basic energies, but it's most of the deck. And Ordinary Rod puts Pokemon or basic energies from your discard back into your deck. So we have quite a bit of recovery options here. As far as switch outs, we talked about being able to move Pokemon around pretty easily. We have some escape ropes, some switch carts, scoop up nets. That's really it as far as switching goes. We got some Battle VIP passes to try to fill out our bench pretty quickly. Some quick balls to find like that Raikou or something like that. PokéStops to help find some items. And that's kind of the whole deck. We got a heavy ball in case something's prized. That's the whole deck. Let's see how we can do with it. Alright, let's see how we can do in this first game. I don't know how many games we're going to play. It really just depends on how long it takes. Now, if our opponent chooses to go first, which they do, we don't really care that much. We started off with the Comfey, which is great. So we're going to be able to flower select. We're going to be able to get a few cards in play with something like the Greninja. I do not want to bench one of these other Pokemon. Stoutland is a huge problem, actually. So we're playing a Lugia deck. And the Archeops confirms it, but really no other deck plays Stoutland V except for Lugia. And if they have the double evolution, oh man, they're getting 2 Archeops in the discard immediately. Did it just discard them both? Ultra Ball, get a Lugia V into play, maybe attach like a Capture Energy to it. That would be lethal, because then they got 2. Oh, they have the perfect hand. Starting Stoutland is a little rough, but honestly, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that big of a deal. Stoutland, why is it so dangerous, is because of the double dip fangs. 3 colorless energies, 40 damage. If your opponent's basic Pokemon is knocked out from damage, they take an extra prize. So they'll take 2 prizes from knocking out this Comfey, something that likely going to be able to do very, very easily. So we're going to drop our Radiant Greninja. We're going to go ahead and concealed cards, get rid of, say, a Psychic Energy for now. We get a Cramorant. We kind of have to hope we find something pretty good off of this. We do. We find a Battle VIP Pass off of our flower selecting, so we're going to play it. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves another Comfey. And I think I'm really scared of that Stoutland, by the way. I don't want to show the Raikou just yet. I want to be in a situation where I can knock out that Lugia. And because I don't run something like Melanie, I can't, which is why I didn't discard the water energy. Otherwise, I would throw the Raikou down and try to boss up. But we also don't even run boss. So, not ideal. I don't want to show the Kyogre just yet. So we're going to go ahead and get just a second Comfey for now. This is such a terrible matchup. Oh my goodness. We'll throw the Oranguru down. We're gonna put... I shouldn't have done that. I should have waited until I was done. But we're gonna put the Cramorant on top. We get Scoop Up Net, that's really good. Scoop Up Net's pretty nice. We'll use the Scoop Up Net. So I made a mistake because now I'm going to see the Raikou. I'm going to see 1 fewer card. Oh, not the Raikou, the Cramorant. I guess we'll take it anyway. It's still a mistake though. We'll retreat into this new Comfey. We'll go ahead PokéGear. PokéStop, I mean, we'll throw it down, we'll use it. We get a quick ball, Mirage Gate. We only have 3 in the Lost Zone. So it's not enough to even get an early attack with Cramorant. Yeah, this is tough. This is really, really tough. And Stoutland here is weak to fighting, but if they go ahead and throw a Dunsparce into play, then they lose all colorless Pokemon's weakness, which is both lightning and fighting for the Lugia and Stoutland respectively. Oh boy. This is not ideal. Yeah, they're just going to power this thing up instantly. On the plus side, I mean, they could power up a Lugia by going double turbo something else, but they're not. They're just committing all the powerful colorless energies to this Stoutland, and I get Marnied. I don't have a great way of dealing with this Stoutland. I needed to oh, this is terrible. This is not, I mean, I don't think this deck runs Choice Belt, so like, I can't even use something like Snorlax with a Choice Belt to hit for 210 to knock out this, the Stoutland here, which would be perfect. They go ahead and get a Manaphy, so, oh man, and they just, annihilate that Comfey, which is terrible. Now Greninja and Kyogre are both out of play. We're going to go ahead and Flower Select. Scoop Up Net is probably better than Heavy Ball. My best option, I think, is to try to Raikou and knock this thing out. I think that's my best bet. So we'll Flower Select. We get a Colress. That's huge. Colress is huge right now. So we're at 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to Colress to get us to 7. And the Mirage Gate is live at that point. We get a Recycle. Oh, man, not enough, though. And because of that Manaphy, we can't even make use of Kyogre to try to knock out the 2 Archeops. This is just very bad. This is really problematic because they're going to take 2 prizes, then I bring up Raikou and then just knock it out with Lugia because it does 220. So I think no matter what, we're going to lose this game. Let's go ahead. We're going to PokéStop. We discard 2 water energies. Wow. Wow. Okay, well. We get the Quick Ball. Can we find a... We could put the... you know what? Let's put the Colress on top. We got another Comfey. I'm going to pull that Raikou out. We'll Switch Cart. Flower Select. I guess we'll take this. We'll take the... There's really nothing I can do at this point, right? I can Ordinary Rod to try to put some energies back. But yeah, I'm stuck. Not being able to attack again. And... yeah, we just lose. We just lose. Nothing I can do. Going into our next game here, we're going to see maybe we get a little bit better luck. Maybe we don't. I have no idea. I'm not a fortune teller, but we do win the coin flip. I'm going to say yes, we want to go first because we want to try to stop some decks from evolving. This is not a very good hand going first, but maybe we can Pokegear. I keep saying Pokegear. Maybe we can PokéStop our way into a better starting hand. Knowing me, I'll discard like the 3 most important Pokemon. Are we playing another Lost Zone deck? Ooh, we get a Battle VIP Pass, which is huge. So we're going to go double Comfey here. And we'll throw the PokéStop. We'll use it. We get a Scoop Up Net and a VIP Pass, which is great. So we're going to use the VIP Pass, go into Manaphy, go with a Greninja. Yeah, that seems fine. I don't want them to attack with that Greninja, so we'll go ahead and Scoop Up Net here. We'll Concealed Cards of Water. Okay. Before we attach an energy, we'll Flower Select. Another VIP Pass. Do I need it? I mean, I'm going to take the energy here. Because I can use the energy to go ahead and get ourselves, say, an Oranguru. Use, like, the retreat. Go into the next Flower Select. We get Escape Rope and a Water Energy. I'm going to take the Rope. And now, I'm going to Primate Wisdom one of these Colresses back on top. And I think that was a pretty good, that was pretty decent, right? We got 2 cards in the Lost Zone, not a ton in the Lost Zone, but, you know, being able to, one, just have a single Colress. Now we can attack with the Cramorant once we get one. We'll put at least 3 into the Lost Zone between the Comfey and the Colress, so we're going to be at 5, which is nice. We're halfway there to attacking with something like a Sableye. We're almost, you know, we're most of the way there to a Mirage Gate play. So we got some options. They, of course, throw a Manaphy down so that we can't attack with our Greninja. Okay, fine, I guess, right? That's what happens in these kind of mirrors. I wonder if they're playing the same thing of the Kyogre. There's a Colress, so now they have 4 on the Lost Zone as well, which means a Cramorant can come and attack this Comfey. You know, it's weird. I chose to go first, even though Lost Zone really does like to go second sometimes, because you can attack with Cramorant and kind of get either an easy Sableye or Comfey KO. You're going to be able to put maybe some pressure onto a V and to make it a little bit easier for something like a Snorlax to knock it out the next turn. There's a lot of reasons why going second with Lost Box is really good. But when you don't know what you're playing against, just like you're going into a game blind, you generally want to choose first, because what if your opponent is playing a deck that requires evolution, right? What if they are playing a Lugia? If I can get ahead of them and start putting damage onto Vs or you know, like whatever, before they can use Arceus VStar's ability, all that kind of stuff, then maybe I can put myself into a pretty decent position. So, you know, just little things like that. It also lets me get further ahead in the Lost Zone count, so that maybe now I can come in and you know, just start using something like Raikou. They fill up their bench because they don't see it. Well, now I'm, you know, 5 cards into the Lost Zone, so it's going to be pretty easy for me to get a Mirage Gate play to happen. So they go ahead and attach to the Greninja, which is interesting. So we're going to start off just with a concealed card. Discard the Psychic. I think going concealed cards first is generally pretty good. We'll go ahead and Colress. Scoop up. We're losing quite a bit of energies. I'm okay getting rid of the Colress, actually, because we have another one. So that's 4 into the Lost Zone, 5 in the Lost Zone. I'm going to take the Recycler. And let's go ahead. Let's go ahead, get rid of an energy, because I can recycle it back into the deck. We have a Cramorant, so that's fine. We're going to get another Comfey. So this way I can Scoop Up Net, go here, Flower Select. We're going to take the Mirage Gate just because. The Kyogre, because of the Manaphy, makes it really difficult. Let's see, we are at 5, 6. Okay. We'll go ahead and Scoop Up Net this Comfey. Flower Select yet again. We're going to choose the Snorlax for later. So now we're at 7, which means Mirage Gate is online. But I don't want to bench anything just yet. I mean, I'll bench a Comfey, so I have an option for later. We'll go ahead and I don't want them to like disrupt anything, but I don't think these decks usually don't run some type of Marnie. So we're going to go ahead, attach a Psychic Energy, retreat into our Cramorant, and I'm going to Recycler, put those energies back. Yeah. Just get them back. I have more Mirage Gate targets, and we will go ahead and spit innocently. And there we go, taking our first prize. Speaking of Mirage Gate, now we got a lot of options as far as play goes. And because they have Radiant Greninja, I don't have to worry about Radiant Charizard coming in and just absolutely blowing up my Raikou. I do have to worry about Snorlax, as you said, 180 with the Choice Belt is 210. We have 200 health, so kind of have to worry about the opposing Snorlax. It looks like we're playing a mirror, honestly. They got the Oranguru as well. I haven't really looked through their discard yet, but nothing. Oh, there's the Energy Recycler as well. So yeah, it looks like they're on the same wavelength as I am, which is always interesting to play the mirror. This is a deck that while I am familiar with Lost Zone decks, I'm not familiar with the Kyogre, and honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about it. Manaphy's so common, especially in the decks that, like, they are susceptible to bench damage. Like, bench damage would be detrimental to them. They're going to run Manaphy. So, and because we don't have any boss options, we can never get that Manaphy out of play. And even when we do, especially against a deck like Lost Zone, they run Clavers and Ordinary Rods and ways to get that Manaphy back from discard. So the only thing we can really do is, like, modify this deck to deal with Manaphy by adding, you know, Boss's Orders. We can't use Serena because it's not a Pokemon V, so we have to use something like Boss's Orders and Lost City to try to, you know, keep that Manaphy from ever coming back into play, because Lost City does put Pokemon that get sent to the great discard by attacks. They go to the Lost Zone instead. I was gonna say Graveyard for some reason. I don't know why Yu-Gi-Oh's on the mind, but there it is. So there is the Snorlax, and I know they grabbed the Choice Belt earlier, which means they are putting it down in preparation of a Raikou KO. So something to keep in mind, right? Once we see that Snorlax, they're going to be in Lost Zone territory themselves. I don't really know why they committed an energy to the Greninja, but here comes the Snorlax. If they attack with the Snorlax, which it looks like they're going to, which is awesome for me. Their Kyogre's in the Lost Zone as well. Okay, so they are playing the mirror. I actually don't mind this. I don't really mind this too much. Don't show me these tips. So let's end up a Comfey. So they're staying asleep. It doesn't really matter. They have 150 health. So this KOs them. Okay. Well, let's take a look. What are the odds that they can recover this Charizard? Pretty high. Charizard, the Snorlax. Yeah, it's pretty good. I could have sworn they used an Ordinary Rod. They did. Okay. So there's an Ordinary Rod. You know, these decks do run Klara. So I don't have a way of knocking it out outside of... We're at 7. Alright. Alright, fine, everybody. Let's do this. We're at 7. This is 8. Colress puts us to 10. We might as well take those options. Alright. So we'll go ahead. We're going to just do... We'll do the 2, actually. We'll put the Psychic here. And we are going to put the water here because I want to manually retreat. I don't want to use the Escape Rope. The reason I don't want to Escape Rope is because that resets the sleep on the Snorlax. And now I'm going to Lost Mine, put 7 on here, 1. So I can knock it. How much health does this have? 130? Okay. So I got to put 2 so Cramorant can knock it out. And the rest doesn't really matter. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking out that Comfey, that whatever it's called, the Manaphy. So now they're forced into using that Klara or some recovery that they might have wanted to use for the Snorlax. And because it's still asleep, they have to use a Switch Cart. Now, their hand is enormous, so it's very likely they'll be able to do it, but I'm going to force them to do it instead of Escape Rope, and then I knock out something and they just easily attack with the Snor. They have to use 2 switch outs or manually retreat, so forcing our opponent to do a thing versus being like, oh, they'll be able to, are not the same, right? They probably can attack with Snorlax this turn. I'm going to make them expend some resources in order to do it. So, just a different way of thinking about things. And now I am threatening a Greninja attack, because Greninja's ready to go. And I have enough cards in the Lost Zone, obviously, to make Sableye plays happen. So, we are really making a nice threat on our opponent here. I actually probably should have put more onto this so that I can knock it out with Greninja. That would have been the smart thing to do instead of putting it, instead of putting 10 here. I probably should have put 30, brought it down to 100. And then, yeah, that would have been the smart thing to do. But whatever. They only have 8 cards left in deck as well. They're going to Lost Vacuum my PokéStop. Now, it's not really important that they're getting rid of the stadium. What is important is that they are getting a card out of their hand into the Lost Zone, which is a really nice way of, maybe you don't want to use your supporter because you have 8 cards left in deck. You're going to lose 5 of them to a Colress just to get 1 extra card in the Lost Zone. So, something like that. They are 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this brings them to 10. So now here comes the either the Sableye or the Snorlax attack. They have both available to them at this point. 1 Sableye in the Lost Zone though, so that's kind of fun. There's the Klara. There is the Klara. Unless they Scoop Up Net something, that Manaphy can't go down this next turn. This current turn. So they're gonna have to bring something up. They probably have a Scoop Up Net since the Comfey's in the active. There it is. They're just not going to re-bench it. They are going to re-bench the Manaphy. That's okay. Because what we're going to do is we're going to attack with Cramorant to knock out the Sableye. And then next turn we have our Sableye to knock out the Manaphy and something else. So that's kind of where we're going with this. They're going to knock out my Manaphy, which is funny. We're both trying to do the same things to each other. Except I do have an Ordinary Rod in the hand. And not a lot of cards left in deck. So the odds of me getting this Manaphy back are pretty good. Haven't seen my Klara yet. I would really like to get it back so I can use it. This is a tough one because they got the first prize. So that's always a challenge. The fact that they're getting the first prize on me. Oh, they knock out my Sableye. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. Flower Select. We find a heavy ball. That doesn't help a ton. So we're actually going to go Switch Cart. Switch Cart. What if we go... Oh, they didn't knock out the Manaphy, though, so that's actually okay. Knocking out the Manaphy... Not knocking out the Manaphy is actually kind of okay here. So we'll go Scoop Up. And I'm not going to bench anything else because I don't want them to just, come back and knock out, my other Sableye, and then I'm like, man, I don't have an option for next turn. So what I am going to do is I'm going to Oranguru my Sableye just to kind of protect it. And we're going to spit instantly. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I want to skip energy attachment. It's okay. And we'll knock out the Sableye, go down to 3 prizes ourselves. We both have to be careful about how many cards are left in deck, which is why I'm trying to be cognizant of not using something like concealed cards, not using something like, unnecessary Mirage Gates, unnecessary fleet-footed on the Raikous. I will have an option to put a couple of cards back into the deck between some energies and Pokemon with Ordinary Rod, and I'm really trying to save them, although I don't think this game is going to go more than 3 turns. So someone's going to win before we deck out, most likely, unless they do have to play a Colress or, whatever, Flower Select, and kind of remove some cards not unnecessarily, but there is always that chance. We're gonna play this game out and see how it goes. But okay, so here comes a Flower Select, and they obviously need something, but they still have 3 cards left in deck, which is enough time to knock out 3 Pokemon, since all of our Pokemon have not that much health, right? Everything here is 130 or less, and they can easily do 180 with that Snorlax. Now, the Snorlax is a problem, and I'm waiting for them to attack with it again, so then I can throw down the Raikou and now attack with it, and they don't have a great option to respond. So that's what we're trying to do. That's our goal here. Is I can't let them attack, basically knock out my Raikou and take 2 prizes. I really, really need to put pressure on them to not take prizes. So they're going to Ordinary Rod as well. And they're going to put 4 cards back into the deck, just like I would. Man, they have... We're doing the exact same thing here. They're doing the exact same thing. So, they need a way to draw them. They already used their flower selecting for this turn with this particular Comfey. So it's like, if they Colress, they lose. Colress is no longer an option for them. I don't even know if they have any left in the deck. They have 2 there. Yeah, they theoretically have 2 Colresses somewhere, right? Likely in the hand, maybe one's prized, but very likely they have a Colress. So there was only 1 card left in deck. And if they don't attack with this Comfey, or if they don't attack this turn, they're in a lot of trouble, because now I get ahead on the prizes, and I have more cards in deck. So here comes the Snorlax. Unless they're going to use the Sableye. Okay, it looks like they might be going Sableye. So they're trying to gear up for a Radiant Greninja attack. Okay. Do they have the energy in deck? Okay. Yeah, they're really trying to get that Greninja ready to go and close out this game by knocking out the Manaphy this turn, hoping I can't get it back, and then using the Moonlight Shuriken to take 2 prizes. So they're going to knock out the Manaphy for sure, put damage on the Greninja, and probably the Cramorant, just because they have the lowest health. So they got to put quite a few. They got to put 4 on the Manaphy, and they got to put 4 on the Greninja, and then I guess the other 4 onto a Cramorant. So, and they put 1 on the Oranguru just so it can get KO'd by a Cramorant. That's always fun. We have a little bit of a problem here. It's not actually not really. We really don't, because we're gonna do the same thing. We also have the Ordinary Rod. We're gonna Capture Energy. We'll get both of those. We Capture Energy onto, say, a Greninja to get the Manaphy back into play. Protect our bench yet again. And I think we just attack the Sableye, right? Spit innocently. Oh man, this is coming down to the wire. This is coming down to it. There's our Klara. Huge pickup, by the way. Huge pickup off the prizes. So now, if they do knock out this Manaphy again, well, we can't survive that many knockouts to begin with. I think they were really hoping that we couldn't get that Manaphy back into play. But now we have the Klara, so even if it gets knocked out again, we're ready to go, and we're going to have our Raikou still lying in wait. We're not benching that thing because we only have 2 prizes left to give, and we can't afford a Snorlax to just come in and KO it. Looks like they are going to come in with the Snorlax themselves. Kind of hope that I can't do much about this. So it's really going to come down to the next 2 turns. Are we able to withstand? But here's my... Okay. Alright. I don't think we can win here. So they go Thumping Snore. They knock out that. Okay, fine. We're going to send up the Cramorant. It stays asleep. Okay. So, how do we play this? I think we bench the Raikou. We knock out the Snorlax. And then we bench the other... We bench our Snorlax. So if they escape rope, we have an out... We have something that won't get KO'd by Greninja or Cramorant. Because otherwise, yeah, I think that's the play. But then they can come in with their own Raikou. But they have 1 prize left anyway. So maybe I should have used... Oh boy. Maybe I should have used Sableye. We'll draw a card for funsies. We'll just draw a card, right? Why not? Why not? And we'll Lightning Rondo. Maybe that wasn't the best play. Because now if they power up their own Raikou, they win. I think I gave it to me, but again, if I leave a Manaphy, if I use the Sableye, they just attack with Cramorant and win anyway. So there's the, yeah, there it is. Do they? But can they power it up? They don't have any cards in deck, unless they have another Ordinary Rod. Oh, they have the Recycler. You gotta hit him with the well played. This was such a close game. All because I went first. And they were able to get the first prize. You see how these things go. Very well played to our opponent. They played it beautifully. We tried our best. But once a single prize deck kind of gets ahead of the prizes, you just... That's it. It's so hard for you to win. So there you have it. Lost Zone Kyogre, is it a thing? Yeah, I don't know how much I love the Kyogre. The Manaphy really, really hurts what this deck wants to do. Same thing, you know, even with the... Does every deck have a bunch of Energy Recyclers and Ordinary Rods and Klaras to get the Manaphy back? No, once, you know, like Lugia, once it loses the Manaphy or the Dunsparce, that's it. It's gone for the rest of the game. So you have a little bit more flexibility in what options. It's just when you play something like a Lost Zone deck, they run the exact same things as you, and it's so frustrating. That was such a good game. That was very, very close. So yeah, that's it. I'm done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, found it informative. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff really does help. And I want to hear from you. What decks do you want to see going forward? And but yeah, we're just gonna go. And thanks so much. I'll see you next time.